Welcome to the Insightful Player podcast. My name is Chrissy Carew. I'm the host and founder of Insightful Player and the author of Insightful Player, Football Pros Lead a Bold Movement of Hope. I partner with NFL players to transform our world to be inclusive, kinder, and more loving. In each episode, I interviewed NFL players and NFL vets who overcame tremendous obstacles to reach their dream of playing in the NFL. And I'm also a transformational coach. I empower my clients to embrace their dreams, to transform their world and the world around them. And we want you to believe in your dreams and encourage you to commit to them now. Humanity is in trouble. We need you. We all need to do this. We need to embrace our dreams and share them with others so we can have an immediate positive impact on making our world a much kinder place. We invite you to become an important part of our bold movement of hope. Watch this podcast, share it with others, and let us know what you want to see and hear to support you in becoming an insightful player in your life. Thank you. Welcome back to the Insightful Player podcast, and I'm excited because we have a very special guest. I met him, I think, in 2010, James, maybe. He's married to his high school sweetheart. He has 3 beautiful children. He played in the NFL for 12 long years, and he overcame a tremendous amount of injuries. And right now he speaks to soldiers and he speaks to vets, and he does some volunteer work at his old alma mater, Tarleton State University, and he's a tremendous role model for all of us. It's just amazing who this man is. He had tremendous transformation. When I was writing his story, I had fun because he's a very strong Christian, and before he became a Christian, he was like a Mack truck plowing through a red light. Nothing was going to stop him from being the best that he could with football. So, James, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me, Chrissy.
It's such a treat. And you have come a long way from back when you were in high school, when, you mentioned that you were obsessed with being a great football player, and you thought about it ever since you were 5 years old.
Right.
And you just, no matter what, you just plowed through and you drove your family crazy because you got into these pre-game modes, and if you lost the game, forget it. No one can talk to you. And you made a huge transition, and I'd love for you to tell that story to everyone.
Yeah. So I was when I was 5, I told my dad that I was going to play in the NFL, and I got his attention, and from there it was all business. I had this really compulsive with competition about winning everything, and so much so that it became almost like the most important thing in my life, even more important than family, and which obviously that's not good. And so when I didn't win something, I would get very angry, and my family, I wasn't a fun person to be around. So my family, they kind of thought I was a little bit crazy, and but still have a wonderful, loving family, and I would compete so hard that I injure myself quite a bit. So I had lots of injuries all through high school. It was just something that I was not willing to lose at any cost. I'll do anything to win. And so it kind of took over my life. And once I came to know Christ, that changed everything. I realized that family was more important than sports and competition, and that there's a way to play the game, and you can still play physical, but still give God glory, and still be a gentleman on the field. I didn't know those things when I was playing before. So this competition really was, I guess you could say it was really, really bad for me to have that in my life. The way I rated it like the number one thing. So it's a lot of people, like the Christian world, will tell you that it was my God. And so once I came to know Christ, I put that on the back burner. Still worked hard to compete because I still wanted to represent God and represent Christ really well, but I wanted to do it the right way. And so now my goal was to glorify God, and therefore my work ethic I should be set apart for my work ethic for Him, not because of me wanting to win so much. So that was made a big change in my life.
And it's amazing. And there's a lot of kids out there that are following that same path where they feel like it's sports or music or whatever it is they push so hard at the expense of, the best of who they are. What can you say to them now? Because there's so many kids out there doing this.
Right. I'd say get focused, and focus on the things that matter. Winning's a good thing. It's fun. But I think that the thing that we need to focus on are relationships. It was not good for me to when I lost to get mad and shout at people, and even to my older brother. If I lost something with him, he's 5.5, 6 years older than me. I would lose to him. I'd want to fight him. Well, that wouldn't good on our relationship. And he got to where he'd say, "Listen, I'd rather not play with you because I don't want to have to fight you today." And
That's amazing.
That just it kind of hurt me. It broke my heart because I did not realize that I was that bad. So I would say that they need to focus on the things that matter. Focus on your relationships. Focus on your work ethic. What kind of man or young lady are you building with the work ethic that you're producing? As you're training. So, and those are the things that I started focusing on. Is the role model that I was becoming. I focused on, am I somebody that's going to work hard all the time? Am I somebody of integrity? If I say, hey, I'm going to go out and take the field, and I'm going to the gym in place. Did I do that? That was I man of my word. Those are the kind of things that those things last. Those things make an impact. Whether you win or lose, down the road, people are going to forget. This game, any of the games that we play, they never love you back.
Right.
I can tell you from experience that when I was in high school and we were winning, I had 11 injuries from my high school. The game never really loved me back. It didn't treat me well, or else I wouldn't be so injured. So we can love the game or we can love the competition as much as we want, but it didn't have the capacity to love you back. So I would say invest in the things that are going to be able to invest back into you. For these young athletes, and that's the people around you. That's your coaches, your teammates, the people you play against. I've made great friends with people I played against just because I was a gentleman on the field. In between during the play, I played as hard as I could, and I was as physical as I could be. And then when the play's over, I'd lift them up. Hey, good job, man. Way to hustle. I'd pump them up that way. And but I think those things are what matters, not so much the winning and losing.
Yeah, you're very good at lifting people up, for sure. And something else that goes with this that you and I have talked about is, and this relates to you speaking to soldiers and vets, is that you're much more than an athlete. You're much more than a soldier. it's, who else are you? And the other thing is, you were smart enough to really ask yourself some really, really thought-provoking questions. Am I in integrity, right?
Yeah.
Is this the best of who I am? And those are great questions for kids to start asking themselves. Is this really all who I am? What do I want?
Right.
So that I'd love for you to talk more about the identity piece too, because you're so much more than a professional ball player.
Right. So I go and I speak to soldiers when I get an opportunity to. I know that their suicidal rate's really high, and even young children today. I mean, it's crazy the suicidal rate that's gone up because these kids they really don't understand who they are, and they lose their sense of value really easily. Um, and what I like to do is, I'll ask them a question. It's like, tell me about yourself. Who are you? And a lot of people say, well, I'm a football player, or I'm a baseball player. I play basketball. And I said, well, that's what you do. That's what you like to do. But who are you? What's something that people cannot take away from you? Like one day you're gonna look around and see that you're not going to be able to put on those football pads anymore. And so that's going to be taken away. Well, what's to say of your life then when you can't play football anymore? So obviously we have to stop being or we have to stop doing the thing that we love, and that's playing that game or playing sports. Uh, but we don't have to stop being, uh, a son or daughter, a brother, a sister, uh, a father or mother, grandmother, grandfather. We don't have to stop being those things. That's actually who we are, right? And for me, I identify as a Christian. That's who I am. Nobody can take that away from me. And so when football ends, or when you're a soldier and that ends, or when you're a baseball player and that ends, uh, if you identify as a football player, you're going to feel uh, like you have no self worth, like you have nothing more to give. Whereas if I'm a Christian and football ends, well, life's just beginning because there's a lot more that I have to give, that I have left to give in the Christian faith. As a father, I mean, I'll be a father till the day I die, because I have kids that are growing up, and they're always going to need me to invest in them. And then one day, hopefully, I'll be a grandfather. That's something I'm looking for. I've got two kids that are going to be getting married soon, so I'm looking forward to that day. So there's always something that you have left to give. That you always have value left, and that's what I try to share with a lot of these young men and women that I get to speak to in youth groups. I share this with kids in youth groups all over wherever I go, because they need to understand that life is more than just what they do. Uh, yeah.
It's so true. I experienced that with my first business. I understand, I had my first client that hated my guts.
Oh.
And I felt like an empty shell, and it was very restless, So that was a wonderful learning experience to dive into, to figure out who am I,
Right.
It's tough when we have our identity caught up just in one area. When it goes away, then what? Right. So it's such a powerful lesson that you're teaching kids and soldiers and everyone you speak to. It's really valuable. And we're in a spiritual crisis. I'm a Christian also, and there are people out there watching us that aren't Christian, or they are. I think there are a lot of people that want to be on a spiritual path, but they're not really clear what the best path is for them. Or how to make their lives bigger than themselves. Do you have any ideas to share with them about that, James?
Yeah. So, I mean, even if you're not a Christian, and for me, identifying as a Christian was huge in my identity. But if you're not a Christian, you're still you know, a son or daughter or brother or sister, or, those things. And you don't have to be a Christian to be those things. And, and that gives you value in life, because there's investments that need to go there. You're still a friend, right? So if you're a friend, you still want to invest in other friends. You still want to help them along the way. Uh, so there's lots of things left in life uh, that still give you value, whether you're a Christian or not a Christian. That's worth living for. Uh, that doesn't really matter where your faith is, uh, because they just need to know who they are. Yeah, and once they realize who they are, there's lots of value in your life. Um, with that being said, yeah.
Absolutely. And I remember my mom taught me young, going through that awkward 12, 13-year-old stage. I was beating myself up, and she said, go do something nice for someone.
All right.
And I'm like, nah. Anyway, I did. And I remember running back home saying how much better I felt. So as we're feeling down on ourselves, if we give love to someone else, it's just amazing what a gift that is.
Absolutely.
And you're so much into service. I mean, that's another piece I would love for you to touch on, because that's another entry to helping people identify their spiritual path, whatever that might be, by giving to others. I know you've done so much of that, James. Do you have more you want to say about service?
Yes, I think service is one of the greatest things you can do for others, to show love. Uh, you know, love it, and people don't realize this. They think love is a feeling. It's actually an action. You know, how do I know somebody loves me? They can say it all day long, but it's until they put it into practice is when I know that they actually love you, right? So, my wife will know that I love her when I'm doing things that's gonna, like, if I'm sacrificing the things that I like for the things that she likes, and she's gonna say, wait a minute, he's actually putting into practice love, and he loves me because he's putting aside his hopes, wants, feelings, and dreams for mine. And so that's the thing that we want to be able to get to as human beings with the people that we live around. Right. So one of the things I try to do is, I volunteer for the Tarleton track team. And so I try to serve them in that aspect. They don't have a throws coach. So I try to be their throws coach, and anything that they need, whether they need, I can't do much anymore because I've had so many back surgeries and my body's just kind of falling apart. But I can go sit in a chair uh, for an hour and a half and help them with their throwing, uh, just by verbally coaching them, and it's helped so much. And so they see that investment I'm putting in them, and they love it and respect it. And so I do the same thing with my boys and their friends. My boys, they'll come work out at my shop, and their friends, they bring their friends with them. Well, I can go sit over there and coach those guys and teach them about performance training, and teach them how to gain muscle mass, and how to keep that muscle mass through proper diet and supplementation, the right type of supplementation. Uh, I don't believe in cheating, so we do the things the right way, and so we do those things. I teach these guys that, and then when I see them get better, it's really blessing. Not just a blessing for me, uh, because I'm able to help somebody, but it's a blessing for them as well, because they've been served in a way that they haven't been served before. Right? They may not be able to get that type of information from anybody. So those are the ways that I can help serve, uh, because physically I almost can't. I can't go help somebody move anymore, or I can't go, change somebody's tire, because I just physically can't do it anymore. But I can verbally coach some people and help them with their performance so they can excel in athletics. And so that's the way I find ways to serve, and I do the best I can at it. So I just try to love on people that way best I can. Yeah.
I learned that expression from you, love on people,
Yeah.
back in 2010. And you take something where you have a talent and a passion, and that's how you serve. And that's what we can all do, is find something we're drawn to, right?
Right.
That would bring us joy if we're going to serve others.
Right.
And it makes a big difference. And it doesn't matter what it is, whatever, makes you really happy. And you get so much back from that, as you can say. And, that's spiritual, I think.
Right.
Just loving on people, as you would say.
Yeah.
And you did that at a very deep level. You were playing for the Jets during 9/11.
Yes.
And my gosh, you were right in the middle of everything. Can you share more about what that was like? Because I know you guys did a lot.
Yeah, that was actually really, really, the whole thing was heartbreaking. It still almost seems like a dream to me, like a nightmare. I remember we played the Colts on Sunday, first opener. Played the Colts, and we were driving back, me and my wife and my two kids at the time, and we looked up the World Trade Centers, and I told my wife, I said, that'd be pretty cool to go up on top of those things right there. And Tuesday is our day off, and so as we're driving back, we were talking about going up there. Well, on Monday when we went in for our meetings, my elbow was hurting really bad. So Tuesday I wasn't able to go. We weren't able to go make that trip to the World Trade Center.
Thank God.
I had to stay for treatment. So as I went in for treatment, I hear the guys talking about these planes hitting this building. This plane hitting the building, and I'm like, what? And I was kind of blown away by it. And so as I went in to get treatment on my elbow, we see the other plane hit the building, and so it was really, we're really mind blown by that time. We're like, what in the world's going on here? So anyway, it was a crazy ordeal. Everybody was pulling their kids out of school, didn't know what was happening, didn't know for the outright attack or whatever. But anyway, long story short, some of the guys on the team had family in those buildings, friends, lots of friends. I know Vinny Testaverde and Wayne Corbett, those two guys in particular. We mourned with those guys. They were both heartbroken, and
of course.
And so we were heartbroken with them, and just as many people that died in that thing. It was a real tragedy. And the New York Jets were the first team in the NFL to decide that, hey, we're not going to Oakland to play the Raiders. It's a time to mourn. We need to stay here. Let Vinny and Wayne stay with their family, and and help out. So and we decided that, and then Giants caught word of it, called some of our guys, and they said, well, hey, we're going to do the same. And it just kind of echoed on down through the NFL. And it was a decision they made all the players and all the teams that, hey, we're not going, and we'll take a fine for it. And then the NFL decided they were going to cancel the games. Yeah. So, we ended up going down to Ground Zero and out all the rubble, and just trying to help and serve that way.
Oh, wow.
We'd go and speak to the firemen and their families that lost, that lost loved ones. We'd go speak to them, and we just, share our heart with them, because it was it definitely was a tragedy. It was sad. It should never have happened, but you got evil people in this world. And but I was amazed on how it brought everybody together, and the whole country kind of stood together Uh, that part was amazing in itself, to see that.
That was amazing, and we need that today. um, there was so much that we came together with, and I don't know what can we do to bring that unity and harmony back, inclusion, instead of all this fighting, bullying, and nonsense. Do you have any ideas about that?
Well, I think that a lot of it, this is going to be tough for me to talk about because I don't. Um, we need to be on the same page with the media.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. We can't have all the racial divide talk and things like that. That just was non-existent at that time. Nobody cared about race at that time. We didn't care. Black, white, brown didn't matter.
Right.
We loved.
Party, Republican, Democrat, Independent,
Oh,
none of that mattered. Man, woman, child.
yeah, we didn't care. We just loved everybody, and we need to get back to it. I think that if we can get back to thinking, hey, this is America, and we need to stand as Americans.
Right.
That's the mindset. Uh, I think we've gotten away from that because it doesn't matter where you're from. If you're a United States citizen, you're an American, and we need to love each other as such. I think if we can get that mindset back, then I think we can all be joined together again. But it's tough because the political parties are divided big time.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's really awful. And I think with the internet, it makes it worse. I mean, we've had tragedy and crisis in our country ever since it was formed and in the world. But with the internet, this hate is spread like wildfire. So I think our campaign is to do the opposite, to spread love, just like your message is love on people.
Right.
Because love is much stronger than hate. So everybody, I invite you to please share James's interview and listen to his words of wisdom, because we all need to do this together. We need to just pour more love into the world to make it more inclusive, kinder, and more loving. So that's what I hope we can do, is just in little ways, even in your own neighborhood, right? And your families. Families are at battle too. Yeah. So I appreciate all that you do, just by being who you are. And it's amazing how much love you hold in your heart and how much you've grown and what a positive influence you are on our society and in your general area and in a big way. You make your life much bigger than yours, and that's so admirable. We all need to do that, and do it in honor for the generations to come. Oh, there you're back. So I know you have a shout out to a friend that you admire, that you played with, Kevin, and I would love for you to share anything you want about your buddy who's doing such beautiful work in the world.
Yeah. So my buddy Kevin Swain, he's he's absolutely a wonderful man. Him and his family. He's got a beautiful family. And he's a guy that when you talk about bringing people together, he's amazing, and he's that kind of guy, Chrissy. He can bring people together. He played lots of years in the NFL, arena football. He's done all kinds of stuff, and then he went into officers training and as a major in the United States Air Force. And then he works another job with doing logistics for another company and has his own speed training facility. Doing all kinds of stuff, and he's goes to church. He's active in the church. His wife works in the church, but this guy is great at loving others. He's how do I'm trying to, words almost can't explain him. He's that dear a friend to me. He's like a brother to me. I think I've told you that before. But he's a guy that has a wonderful message. Played sports, knows, has lots of wisdom in life, and I think it would be great if he could be on this show. So we'll try to get him on here for you.
We'd love to have him. We'd love to have him. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Insightful Player is all about, bringing on insightful players that are athletes, professional athletes, current, former, and everyone else who's an insightful player in their life who are doing great things. We want to expand it to you as well. So if you know someone that has a really powerful message that wants to help transform our culture, to be more inclusive, kinder, more loving, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'd like to just share some of your guiding principles before we end, but do you have any parting words before I do that?
Excuse me. No, I think, I love in scripture, where, they asked Jesus, they said, what's the two greatest commandments? And he said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And then he said, love your neighbor as yourself. And with those two things, you can basically sum up everything just with those two things. And I often think about, obviously loving God is something that, we all try to do, as believers. Loving your neighbor is sometimes a little tougher because sometimes we don't have the easiest neighbor to love on. But yeah, but how important is it to love on them anyway, right? So if we can do that, if we could love our neighbor, and our neighbors really in scripture is anybody you come across. It's anybody you come across. So if we're doing that, we could do a lot of good in this in this world, a lot of good, and I think it could. I think it could turn things around big time as far as uniting our country. And if we could think about doing that, just loving each other, loving our neighbor, well, that'd be a wonderful thing for everybody.
I agree with you so much, and you have such a beautiful message. You're such a humble soul, that's giving so much to our world, and we appreciate it. And I'd like to conclude by, James is in my book, Insightful Player, and at the end of each chapter, we have guiding principles, and he has a lot of great guiding principles. Let me read you a couple. One that he talked about, remember that sports will never love you back, but your family and friends will love you back, and God will never stop loving you. And never let obsession take over your life. Instead, use it as inspiration to achieve all your goals. And see the goodness in everyone. And that might be a really good thing, is just to look for the goodness in this next week. And that will look for, even for someone who's a grouch or drives you nuts, find this curl of goodness in them and just look at it and acknowledge it. Acknowledge it to that person. My gosh, you'll make their day and you'll certainly make yours. What do you think of that, James?
I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you.
It'd make a world difference.
It certainly will. So we're going to love on each other using James' wonderful expression. And really happy that you were here. And thank you for watching. Please share James' interview with as many people as you can. He has a really loving, powerful message for all of us to be the best that we can by loving on each other. So until next time, thanks for watching. Bye-bye. The entire Insightful Player podcast initiative is dedicated to the late Tom Constantino. Tom Constantino was my PR consultant. He was over the moon fabulous. He was really an exceptional human being, and Insightful Player wouldn't have made it to where it is now if it wasn't for Tom. So Tom up there in heaven, I just want you to know you're going to live in my heart forever. And I am forever grateful for you. Thank you.